All right, we got the Nvidia results last night, and they were amazing. And so we get to live another day. We basically get to live another day. Bitcoin was over $80,000 this morning, slightly coming back to 79,143. But if you look at the altcoins, look at that. That's what the altcoins are doing today. And that's actually what the altcoins have been doing for the last week, and what the altcoins have been doing for the last month. Not only are the altcoins moving, but if you take the altcoins and you move the altcoins and you compare them to the Bitcoin, so you basically say, how have the altcoins performed in Bitcoin since this recovery? Let me show you what basically happens, right? So what you start seeing is that you start seeing that there are a lot of good altcoins that are performing very, very, very well against Bitcoin. What I want to talk to you about today is the altcoins, and I want to show you why I think that the last cycle was very much powered by Bitcoin, but actually I think that this cycle is going to be very, very, very much an altcoin cycle. And I think that I've got all the data to basically show you why I think this cycle is actually going to be an altcoin cycle. And I'm going to show you exactly which altcoins are going to be the ones driving the cycle. And I'm going to show you one altcoin chart today, which is the best altcoin chart that I've seen in a long, long, long time. I'm going to show you the chart, I'm going to show you the fundamentals. So today is about altcoins. I recommend that if you're not an altcoin person, let's just say that you're like a Bitcoin maxi. What do they call people? Bitcoin maxis. If you're a Bitcoin maxi, my suggestion is after about 6 or 7 minutes of the show, you can log off. If you're an altcoin degen, I think you're going to love the show today. Let's get the show on the road. GM to everyone that's not a Bitcoin maxi. That's today's show is a GM to everyone who's not a Bitcoin maxi. And when I say GM, I want to just show you what I mean by GM, because for those of you who don't know what GM means, it means good morning. It also means when the bubbles are green, we greet each other and we say to each other, GM, 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 wakey, wakey, rise and shine. We're going to be talking about altcoins today after about minute 6 of the show. So if you're a Bitcoin maxi, after minute 6 of the show, suggest that you log off and go and watch another channel. For those of you who are altcoin maxis, I think you're going to love the show today. First of all, we got the Nvidia results yesterday. I'm proud to say that 247 Wire, which is our news wire business, where you can get it for free, by the way, was the first to report the Nvidia results. Can you believe it? We were the first to report the Nvidia results. Net revenue for Nvidia, 96.2 billion. Can I just say something? Hardest, if there's a news service that is free on Twitter and gives you news first, and all you have to do is follow them, is there any reason not to follow them? Just go to @247Y and just follow them. Is there any reason in the world not to follow them?
No reason not to.
No reason not to. Some people believe it or not, some people don't. Anyway, be that as it may, their revenue, $96.2 billion for Q2. You know what that means? It means that their revenue is $1 billion a day. $1 billion every single day. Their adjusted earnings per share, analysts were expecting 2.1. They got 2.22. Their data center revenue, 90 billion, etc., etc. Now, the main thing is that for the outlook of Q3 revenue, they actually reported a higher outlook. In other words, the analysts were expecting 104, and they're now looking at 108. So they revised their Q3 outlook, which makes a big difference. And so when we look at Nvidia today, Nvidia is up 5.75%. Yeah, I mean, incredible. If you look at the 2028, so they actually made a comment about 2028. We expect to grow by approximately 70% in the fiscal year of 2028. This is a supply constrained outlook. Do you understand what's happening here? These guys are, can you imagine a business that has a market capitalization of exactly $5.37 trillion coming out and saying, we expect to grow 70% next year. A business that is turning over $1 billion a day and expects to grow 70%. And they're saying the only reason why we're saying that is because we have a supply constrained outlook. Can you imagine? We could have made more money, but we have supply constraints, but we're going to make 70% next year than more than we made this year. And people say AI is in a bubble. I mean, there could be a bubble because there's all Nvidia in bed with ChatGPT and then investing in Nvidia, that whole circular financing. But that's another show for another time. Today, we're talking about altcoins. We do have one more bombshell tomorrow that could maybe slightly ruin the party. And that is that we've got Jackson Hole tomorrow. So tomorrow we have Jackson Hole. What do we mean by Jackson Hole? Tomorrow, the leaders of the monetary leaders basically meet at Jackson Hole. Warsh is going to be speaking. This Walter Bloomberg says the following. He says, look, one of the things that Warsh is going to be speaking about is Fed independence. I wonder what Warsh is going to say, because he hasn't said much up until now. And that's the game that he seems to be playing. And anything that he does say could be seen as forward guidance. But he may have a lot to do or a lot to comment about, specifically around Scott Bessent's war against treasuries, right? And so all eyes on Kevin Warsh tomorrow. Of course, as always, we will be live right here as soon as he starts talking, and that's 10 a.m. EST. So tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST, we will be live right here, bringing you Kevin Warsh speaking live at Jackson's Hole. Jackson Hole. Jackson's Hole is Jackson, but Jackson Hole. So he's going to be live at Jackson Hole. All right, let's talk about the cycle. Let's talk about the altcoins. Let's talk about everything else. So I do know, and I have heard from a lot of people, that there are a lot of people that still don't believe that we are in the bull market cycle. And the reason they don't believe it is they think there's going to be one more leg down. And as I said before, it is possible. I mean, if you look at the 4-year cycle, we should have had that leg down over here. But I showed you yesterday why I think that leg down isn't going to happen. I'll show you some more data points today, and then we'll talk about specifically the altcoins. But one is we did bounce off the 200-week SMA. I told you yesterday that that's a key level. In 2017, that is when we bottomed, right? In the cycle before 2017, that's where we bottomed, 2012, 13, 14 cycle. Here, we bottomed in 2017. We bottomed on this cycle. And the only one that we didn't bottom is 2021. So it actually looks like 2021 could be the exception, right? And not the actual. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times we bounced off the 200-week MA. In 2021, we didn't break the 200-week MA. On top of that, if you look at time spent in oversold conditions on the RSI, so you basically look at the RSI and you say, how long did we spend in the oversold condition on the RSI before we actually bounced back to bull market levels? In the first bear market, it was 308 days. In the second bear market, 301 days. In the third bear market, 273 days. And in the fourth bear market, 280 days. So what you can see is that from a number of days below the in oversold conditions on the RSI, what you can see is that there is a possibility that happened. I want to talk about something else because that is like bottom signals, but I also want to show you what happens around gold. I've said to you a few times that generally gold tops, and that's when Bitcoin actually starts to run. So that's generally what happens. And if you look at gold actually topped sometime around February. And Bitcoin didn't run. Bitcoin was a very, very, very neglected time. Now gold started to run, and Bitcoin has started to be very correlated to gold. But that's not the main thing that I wanted to show you. The main thing that I wanted to show you is in previous cycles, generally gold tops, then copper starts to run with Bitcoin, right? So gold tops, then copper starts to run with Bitcoin. It happened here, 2017. It happened here in 2021, and it happened here. Generally, copper starts running just before Bitcoin. It's usually just after gold tops. Now, let's pull up the copper chart. So this is the copper chart. Copper is about to break all-time highs, and copper actually started a very, very, very strong run over here, right? And that was the 24th of June. Now, let me show you where this gets a little bit more exciting. We know that Bitcoin and copper usually run together, and it's usually sometime after gold tops. That's copper about to break all-time highs, about to go into price discovery. Now, we know what happens to charts when they go into price discovery, and then it starts running. Now, let me show you another thing, which I don't know if I can do here, but we'll try this. Copper. Let's try this. Copper divided by gold. I want to see if I can show you this chart. Okay. So look at when copper broke out against gold, somewhere around February, right? That's the part where gold topped. Then gold had a run, and now copper is starting to run. Now, pay attention. This is what I want to show you, right? Gold starts running. Bitcoin runs after gold tops and when copper starts to run. Also, Bitcoin generally runs after the ISM hits 50 or 55. So generally, if you look at previous cycles, Bitcoin usually runs when the economy is in such a healthy state that the ISM is above 50 or 55. Now, this is the 2013 cycle, that's a 2017 cycle, that's a 2021 cycle, and here we are today. I don't know if you remember, but we reported the ISM, and we said the ISM hit 54, and it was so disappointing that the ISM hit 54 and Bitcoin hadn't started running, and now what it looks like is happening, Bitcoin is finally starting to catch up to the ISM trade. So that's the Bitcoin trade, and that's why I think that, I mean, those are just some more mitigating reasons why I think that the bear market is over. Now, if you are a Bitcoin maxi, thank you for joining us. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Hit like, hit subscribe. Or what else do we normally do? Someone says happy birthday, Run. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. It is my birthday today. Yes, it is my birthday. So yes, if you are a Bitcoin maxi, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends. Hardest, don't end the show. Okay, don't end the show. Okay, because if you're an altcoin maxi, the show just begins. So right now, if you're an altcoin maxi, this is the part that you should be paying attention to. If you're a Bitcoin maxi, as I said, thank you. Trade well, my friends. All right, let's talk about altcoins and why I think this cycle is going to be powered by altcoins. So I want to look at the charts, and then I want to talk about the story that I believe the charts are telling us. Okay, so first we're going to look at the charts, and then I'm going to translate or interpret the charts into a story. Okay, so let me give you the charts first. This is the ETH BTC chart. This is a 9-year downtrend. Okay, this is literally a 9-year weekly downtrend. And as you can see, we have just broken out of a 9-year weekly downtrend. What does that mean? Like if you were to translate this into English, what you would say is that there was a token called Bitcoin, and then we launched a new technology. So Bitcoin launched the blockchain technology, and ETH launched the smart contract blockchain technology. Now, what is the difference between smart contract blockchain technology and Bitcoin blockchain technology? Bitcoin's digital store of value. Maybe you could say Bitcoin is digital money, right? And Bitcoin was the king. And then Ethereum launched. What did Ethereum launch? Ethereum launched to make money programmable and for people to be able to do contracts in order to receive this money. So almost think about it as Bitcoin was the money and Ethereum was the contracts for people to receive this money, because Ethereum enabled this thing called smart contracts, right? And what you can see is that for 9 years, Ethereum was in a downtrend against Bitcoin. Okay, so and it just broke out. Now I'm going to tell you the rest of the story, but before we get there, I want to show you another chart, Exhibit B. This is the others against BTC. Okay, so others meaning altcoins against Bitcoin. And you can see that they were on an uptrend and they keep bouncing on this very, very, very mild uptrend. And what you can see here, which is the important part that I want you to look at, is that this one was 370% and this one is 574%. And now we're going potentially into the third cycle. And if we go into the third cycle, what we kind of expect is it to go higher than this line over here. In fact, I'm going to draw you the chart here. But I don't want to ruin that chart. Let's not ruin that chart either. Let's bring this chart here and let me draw for you others. This is going to blow your mind. The next part of the analysis is going to blow your mind. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, amazing. Now let's go on to, I think we can go on to a weekly. I think that'll pretty much work. And let us draw a line which goes from here up to here. And we will continue that channel. And you can kind of see exactly where I'm going with this, right? You see exactly where I'm going with this. Because remember, first I'm going to give you the charts and I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, now look, that basically goes to Valhalla. Okay, that goes to, I don't even actually know if someone knows how to actually bring this back. I mean, I can squash the chart. I can't squash the chart with this mouse pad, but okay. All right, you get where this is going, okay? So you have this chart over here, which is the ETH BTC chart, which is the ETH BTC chart, which is the chart of the biggest smart contract or the biggest use case of blockchain after the store of value or money use case, right? And this you could call as the chart of all the applications of this smart money. You get it? So Bitcoin is the smart money. That's all it actually is. And this is a chart of how all the applications using this technology are actually progressing. Cool. What you can say is that since ETH launched and topped on the excitement, it crashed because it hasn't been able to fulfill any use cases that people intended it for it to fill. Almost think about the chart of the NASDAQ and the internet, right? Basically, you had the NASDAQ exploding, and then you had the big 2001 crash. Why? Because the internet you couldn't actually use it. That's exactly what happened to Ethereum. Ethereum launched, everybody spoke about smart contracts, right? After smart contracts, basically people realized that smart contracts weren't useful, they were too slow, they were too expensive, etc., etc. Until eventually, we got to a point where people said, hold on a second, this technology is actually ready, and it works, right? And now, ETH is breaking out of a 9-year development cycle where the technology hasn't been useful for anything practical, to a point where now there are thousands and thousands and thousands of applications. What are those applications? Tokenizing of real-world assets, tokenizing of stocks, tokenizing of currencies, tokenizing of commodities, actual trading, actual smart contracts which are being used, derivatives, etc., etc. They're now starting to work. For 9 years, they've been pretty much not usable, specifically not usable on ETH. And now we're starting to see them actually be applied in the real world, and now you're getting a breakout. And it's the same thing with altcoins. If you look at altcoins, or the applications that we're actually talking about, right? They have been not useful, but there have been various hype cycles. And now we look like we might be going into our biggest hype cycle. Higher high. So, yeah, higher high, going higher high. And I kind of think that this is basically where it goes. Right, we're going to get into this channel, and this channel is just going to take us way further up. So if we were to extrapolate that pattern, you could almost say that you'd get a line going up like that, and eventually you'd get this line going over like $12 trillion or whatever else at the end of this cycle. Why? Because up until now, the technology hasn't been ready. The technology hasn't been useful for anything. But now, finally, everything is going into blockchains. Everything is basically going onto blockchains. Stocks, etc., all going onto blockchains. And so what you're getting is a cycle that is driven around actual use cases of technologies, not the promise of use cases of technology. So this whole cycle was the promise of use cases of technology. The technology was sound. The technology was Bitcoin. It was sound. But the use cases were just... Here they were delusional, like the .com cycle. Here people thought, okay, maybe there's a chance. Now people are actually starting to use them, and maybe that's the breakout. So the chart actually tells a story, right? So the charts actually tell a story here. The technology wasn't ready. The technology is ready. Actually, the technology is so ready that we think that the next cycle is going to really be very big. And again, I can't even stretch that chart here, but basically it goes up there. ETH has been coiling for literally 5 years. It's been in this range for 5 years in this pattern called an ascending triangle, and now it's pretty much ready to explode. Bitcoin's really exciting. It's a store of value, it's gold, etc., but there's nothing exciting that's going to be happening on Bitcoin from this point on. Everyone knows what Bitcoin is, everyone knows how it's going to work, etc. What you're seeing here is that the next cycle is actually going to be led by the altcoins. If the charts are right, the next cycle becomes a parabolic, exponential chart, as you can see over here. Parabolic. Let me try and get this down. Hold on, let me try. I've got a very non-sensitive mouse pad here, so we're going to have to just bear with me here. Okay, we're going to try and do it like this. Okay, see, so there we go. Okay, and literally, like I don't know. Oh man, let's try more. Okay, again, we're messing around here. I'm giving you the theory, but I just want to show you how high and how fast this thing can actually go. So this is where we are today. No use cases. Now there's all of a sudden thousands of use cases for blockchain. In fact, the SEC and stocks and money and commodities and currencies and whatever else. And we're basically going to extrapolate here just for fun. And we're going to go to the top of this channel over here, and we're going to get to a okay, great trend line. Hold on, let me get this. Let me try and catch this trend line here. Okay, there it is. Okay, so imagine that you see the problem is I have to now squish it a bit more. But I mean, that shows you, I want to show you how high this cycle will go, specifically around the altcoins. So let's say that it goes all the way up to there, and this line meets us here at $20 trillion. And the market now is at $2.5 trillion. That would be an 8x on the market, right? Now you say, okay, but an 8x, but we did get an 8x from here, or 5x from here to here. So if you look at here to here, we actually did get a 5x when there was not a single use case for the altcoins. We got a 6x. So if we were to say, okay, what about when we actually do have use cases and there's derivatives and there's and everything else, is it possible for us to get a 6 or 7 or 8x here? And the answer is definitely yes. And that's why I think that this cycle is going to be driven by the altcoins. The charts are telling me exactly that story, and the fundamentals are telling me exactly the same story. And that's why the altcoins are running. And you can already see that there are a lot of altcoins that when you compare them to Bitcoin, are basically leaving Bitcoin behind. Hyperliquid left Bitcoin behind this cycle. Why? Because there's a real use case for Hyperliquid. Zcash left Bitcoin behind the cycle. Why? Because there's a real use case for Zcash. It's private money. Solana just started to move against Bitcoin. There's tons. Basically, I guarantee you that if you go look at any chart that has a use case, that chart has outperformed Bitcoin. If you look at any chart this cycle that has a use case, that is going to be much bigger. Let me show you an example. Pump USD to BTC. Okay, divided by BTC USD. Guarantee. I mean, we know this. We know this. Yeah, pump divided by BTC USD. Vertical line up. Why? Because it has a use case and it's actually being used. Altcoins that have a use case and are actually being used have already outperformed Bitcoin this cycle, because that's what this cycle's about. That's what the cycle's about. And that the cycle will follow this chart over here, right? Or sorry, this chart over here. And eventually we will get to 20 trillion or $20 trillion. That is, by the way, that's my base case for where we end up in the cycle, $20 trillion. And we're on $2.46 trillion right now. Charts are telling me the story. The use case of the technology is telling me the story. And if the AI trade takes off and agents start using blockchain, then it really does become, not if, when, become game over. And so what I did was I started looking for which altcoins to be investing in. And I posted this in Front Runners earlier. I said, look, guys, honestly, Sol is the best chart in crypto today. And I've taken a leverage bet on Sol. I took it in a big account, but I also took a small position here in my 𝗙𝗔𝗀 account. So here is the position on 𝗙𝗔𝗀. I took a 10x leverage on Solana. I bought 500 Sol. Right now I'm $66 down. My entry point was $105. It's trading at $105. Why did I take it? It's the best chart in crypto right now. Really. If you look at this chart and you look at this chart that's just over here, broken through this. Look at that. Look at this support resistance. Look how long the support resistance level has been. Okay, it's literally this whole support resistance level over here. Okay, it's just broken out of it. Okay, where's the next level here? 140. Like, where are the next levels here? 140 is the next level, the way I see it. 150. So I took a leverage long on 𝗙𝗪𝗀. This is a decentralized perpetuals DEX, just like Hyperliquid. If you start farming it now, you will earn a shit ton of points because of Banter, you are getting your points before everybody else. You will earn a shit. Okay, so there is a link for you guys here. Use that. Use the thing Banter. You get a discount on your fees. You can trade with me. You can follow my trades. And you also get points before anybody else starts getting points. This is not going to last for very long. Soon they're going to open the points for everyone else and then game over for you guys. All right, let's talk about Sol. Let's go back to it. In terms of the majors, Sol, best performing major since the breakout. Okay, against ETH and against Bitcoin. If you look at Sol specifically against Bitcoin, look at Solana specifically against Bitcoin, you've got a head and shoulders that's just printed over there, and it's just breaking out against Bitcoin. Why? Because it's part of the coins for the new cycle. It also bounced off a very long-term support line over here. So again, let's look at the charts and let's tell the story. The charts are giving us what's going on, and the story is our interpretation of why we think this is happening. So let's look at the fundamentals. Why is this actually happening on Solana? Well, if you look at the Sol fundamentals, what you'll realize is that Sol is actually exploding. That's a Solana transaction activity. And I'm going to go further back just so you can get some perspective here. So that is there. Oh, okay, I don't know what I did there. Okay, that is the Solana transaction activity. Okay, you can see that it's increasing exponentially. It's not at bull market. Yeah, it is. It's actually much further. So, by the way, these dashboards are from Blockworks. And I want to tell you that if you're in crypto right now and you don't have data like this, and Blockworks gives you all this data. If you're in crypto right now, you don't have this kind of data, you can't play the game. We're not sponsored by Blockworks. I just have to show you that the level of their data is unparalleled, literally unparalleled. So kudos to the guys at Blockworks. They also bought Masari recently, and they're doing amazing things. Friends in the industry. All right, so what I say is because if you look at the metrics on Solana, which are all available on Blockworks to anyone who wants to do it, what you can see is that, number one, the transaction activity is really, really, really growing. So you've got to ask yourself, why is the transaction activity still really growing? And the answer actually lies in this pump fund and a new app. Well, not a new app, it's quite old now. It's called FOMO, right? So what are these pump fund and FOMO? They are social trading apps, right? If you go look at the pump fund app, which I've showed you guys on the phone, right? It is a social trading app. That's what it is. It's social trading. It's people sharing trading ideas specifically on the trenches and them trading. Now, where are these trenches? The trenches are on Solana. That's FOMO. That's Pump Fund. The two of them are competing for market share. The two of them are competing here for market share, specifically in the trenches. Unbelievably addictive. Both apps, I want to say, are unbelievably addictive. And they are driving this massive bull market on-chain. And yes, on-chain is not only in Solana, but I want to show you something here. Yeah, I think it's this chart over here. So, oh wait, here, I think it's, wait, hold on, where's that chart? Hold on, I think it's this one. Yeah, no, not, okay, I'll show you the chart in 1 sec. I'll definitely find the chart for you. But that, the fight for the adoption of FOMO and Pump, FOMO has 100,000 daily active users. Actually have more than 100,000 daily active users. That's their fees and revenue, right? That's what this app is doing. It's like the magic super app of crypto. It's the biggest phenomena in crypto in my mind. Now you've got two of these big use cases, and most of them are trading on Solana. Yes, some of it's on Base and some of it's on Robinhood, but the majority of it is all happening on Solana. That's the weekly trading volume on FOMO. You can see that the majority of it is being done on Sol. And the rest is broken up between Base, BSC, and Robinhood, right? But ultimately, most of this is actually happening on Solana. This is part of a new trend, which is called social trading. And right now, Solana is the biggest custodian of this social trading phenomenon. But Solana is not the only beneficiary of it. You guys who are watching the show, and specifically you guys who are watching who are part of Frontrunners or 247 Terminal, are also going to be beneficiaries of social trading. I'm going to show it to you at the end of the show, but you guys are also beneficiaries of social trading. So that is why Solana, well, that's one of the reasons why Solana is basically running, but ultimately the fundamentals are incredibly good. And that's why I took a long around Solana earlier today. I took a very big long in my one account, and I took another long here that you guys can follow. Okay, I'm up again. Okay, now I'm up $300 on I think I'm 100% up already. Well, no, I put $5,000 margin. Okay, so cool. So I did call this in Frontrunners. I told the guys exactly when I'm taking the trade over here. This is when I took the big leverage position. I actually posted it. We all post all of our calls here on Frontrunners. When Solana runs, the Solana ecosystem will also run, right? So Sol, Pump Fund, Jupiter, Jito, Camino, Radium, all of them will pump, because there's going to be a Sol breakout. And when Sol breaks out, everyone's going to say, we're so underexposed to Camino. We're so underexposed to Meteora. We're so underexposed to Radium and to Jupiter. And you can already see it. If I was looking at earlier, Jupiter up 21.3% this week. Okay, yeah, let's look at it today. Athena's up again. Yes, baby. Very long Athena, as I told you guys the other day. I'm long Athena. Tau, which I posted in Frontrunners, I said, it's going to break out. It did actually break out. I posted it here for the community to see. I was maybe a day early. Here we go. I was waiting for this breakout. Here we go. I'm waiting. I was waiting for this breakout, and it hasn't come yet. Oh, it just came. Sorry, that's when it just came. I think I posted much earlier. I said I'm looking for Tau. Anyway, let's get back to it. So when this runs, all of these are also going to run. Now, there's also, as I mentioned, this thing around social trading, and this is where, if you're part of our Frontrunners Discord group, I'm going to show you something absolutely amazing. It's not ready yet. It's only going to be ready next Tuesday. But on Tuesday, oh, hold on a second. Someone just posted something. Athena Foundation's fee switch activation. So Athena just activated fee switches, and that's why Athena is now running. Okay. 10% candle. Amazing. Athena running because they've just implemented a fee switch. Let's quickly just look at it over here. ENA. Okay, there we go. Athena. We're going to get back to the, here we go. Let's look at the 1 hour candle. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look here. All right, let's go back to this. Also, by the way, Solana has governance protocols right now, which will make it more inflationary and burn more Solana. So again, another another thing here is that Solana's got deflationary tokenomics now. All right, now let's talk about the special offer for you guys. Okay, now I'm not supposed to show this to you today. It's on the DevNet. Someone said it's not inflationary. Someone says not inflationary. Hold on. Not inflationary. You see the guys in front trying to caught this Athena thing on 𝗙𝗘𝗪's channel. Did they? We have to get receipts. 𝗙𝗘𝗪, we're going to look for the receipt now, bro. He did. He did. Here it is. He did catch it. You see, I tried to catch him out that he was not being truthful with us, but here it is. I mean, here it is. He has his entry in front runners. I thought he wasn't truthful, but he actually was. He bought it. 𝗙𝗪's amazing. Boom. He just smashed it. Well done, guys. Well done. Anyone in front runners would have caught that, or 247. All right, now I'm not supposed to show you this, but in the spirit of social trading and in the spirit of people, someone says raise incoming. In the spirit of social trading and in the spirit of showing you what we're doing for our community members, we are launching our very own social trading terminal. 𝗙𝗪 is my thing up there. It is up, right? Okay. Here is. Are you sure it's up? Because I cannot show the address, right?
It is up.
Okay. Okay. This is our very, very, very new social trading terminal, right? How it works is for initially our front runners, it's called 247 ideas because it's going to give you 247, 24/7 trading ideas. Right now, as you can see, I'm connected to front runners, and every single post in front runners is here on the trading terminal, which means that now you can trade directly from the trading terminal. So you see 𝗙𝗪 said, okay, he's saying took some profits on Athena. This is not connected, but theoretically what I would do is I'd hit $100 short because he's taking profits, and I would then be short $100. Now, again, this is not connected because it's a dev site, but ultimately you're going to get, if you're part of front runners next week on Tuesday, you're going to get a free trading terminal that ultimately you can trade directly. Every single call that we make in our Discord, is here, right? And you are going to be, wait, let me just quickly, I can't, if they see the thing here, we're in big trouble, because then it's on a dev site, and you know, if it's on a dev site, people can just access it. Okay, so every single post in front runners will be here, but it gets much, much, much better than that. A lot better than that, right? If you are part of any other Discord, like anyone, Whale Room, Chart Hackers, any other Discord, all you do is you add the feed here. You can just add the feed here, and then you will be able to trade directly from the feed. Literally, you can trade directly from the feeds. This is ready. It's going to be given for free to all our 247 front runner memberships. Now, today, I'm giving you another chance to join before we launch this terminal on Tuesday. This terminal is the most fun you're ever going to have. As I mentioned, it's not working now because it's not connected to an account because it's all in testing. But ultimately, you're going to be able to plug in all your ideas here, and then you're going to be able to trade from Telegram groups, etc. Now, there is a special. I don't know what the special actually is. It's this link here, 247 Research Front Runners. Not only do you get all the ideas, but you also get the free terminal. You pay 50% off. You access it for $99 for the first month. It usually costs $199. You get the terminal, you get the news feed, and you get the research product for free. Hold on. He says the URL leaked. How the hell did the URL leak? Taking the site down. I was so careful not to leak the URL. How did the URL leak? All right, he's taking it down. All right, you've now have one last look because you guys are too. It leaked. Okay, I leaked it by mistake. Okay, the URL leaked. He said he's taking down the site. Damn it, man! You guys are too good. Anyway, you get the message. In a week, there's going to be a social trading terminal. It's called 247 Ideas. Any idea that you get to trade, you can actually trade directly from the terminal within milliseconds. Guys, it doesn't get better than that. You're getting your very, very, very own trading terminal, and you're getting all the front runner calls, and. So it's literally free to anyone in 247 research group, which is our 247 research group, 247 news. You're getting it, or you're getting it all for free. Literally. Doesn't get better than that. You're getting the calls, you're getting a terminal, you can trade directly from the terminal in milliseconds. You'll be able to chat to all the other members, take profit, stop losses, everything else. Okay, he's telling me he has to take the URL leaked, have to take site down before they start breaking it. All right, okay, you can take it down. What else? I wanted to talk about Zcash. So we were a little bit concerned after the ETF launched. We were a little bit concerned because the ETF launched and the price started to go down. We discovered subsequently that there is a big seller. They have unshielded 65,800 Zcash, or roughly 0.4% of Zcash supply, and they've already sold. They've sold 53,900. They've got 10,000 more to sell, and then it's back to Valhalla. So you've seen it. Here it is. We're monitoring these wallets. Again, we're monitoring the wallets in 247 research. There's a full section to the wallets being monitored. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's in 𝗥𝗙𝗀𝗪's channel. Is it in 𝗥𝗙𝗪's channel? Researchers, let me know where exactly we keep this. No, it's not that. It's maybe on-chain finds. Is it on-chain finds? Okay, it's somewhere in here. I mean, I don't know exactly where every URL leak. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Developer. I'm so sorry for leaking your URL. I didn't mean to destroy your day's work today and make you have to take down your URL. I think that's it. Remember to sign up to 247 Terminal, and remember to farm points on TXFlow. Use the links below. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Wait. Before. Can we just look at this chart again? Can we just all for 2 seconds, just look at this chart again? And can we just all for 2 seconds just live in a little fantasy world that this basically happens? It's not impossible. Not impossible. It's not impossible. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. I'm going to go celebrate my birthday. Until then, trade well, my friends.